This is Excellence Riviera Cancun, an adults-only all-inclusive resort just outside Cancun, Mexico. My wife and I spent 4 days here exploring the property, trying the restaurants, floating through the lazy river, and filming everything along the way. In this video, I'm going to give you my brutally honest review. We're going to talk about the rooms, the beach, the restaurants, the bars, everything, and see if it's actually worth the price. So if you're thinking about staying here, this video should give you a very clear idea of what you're getting into. And one thing I'll say right now, the lazy river here is amazing. It's by far the biggest lazy river I've ever seen at a resort. It may just be worth the price of admission. But there are also some other things that surprised me as well. Excellence Riviera Cancun is about 30 minutes away from the airport. When you arrive at the resort, you actually pass through a security gate, which immediately gives a more private and secure feeling. They took our bags, walked us through check-in, and explained the restaurants and activities around the resort. One thing I really liked and kind of also didn't like at the same time was the resort app. The resort app gives you access to all the restaurants that are open at the time, menus, the activities. The downside of the app is that they don't actually have any menus anymore, so everything is through the app. And for someone who actually went to the all-inclusive to kind of detox away from their phone, being forced to bring your phone to the restaurants, not the best experience, but it is kind of nice to have the app. But the app shows you the resort, it's the map of the resort, and you're gonna need it because this resort is big. The resort is beautiful and well maintained, but you can definitely tell this is one of the older Excellences. Looks a little dated than some of the other excellent properties, and that will become noticeable during some of the stay, and we'll get into that a little bit. We got a basic room. We didn't get any upgrades or do any upgrades. We just kind of wanted to get out of the cold New York weather and off to somewhere warm. The rooms here are comfortable, but they do feel a little dated compared to some of the newer Excellences and some of the other all-inclusives that I've been to. The bed was great. The bathroom had a large rainfall shower, and the room included robes, slippers, and stocked minibar. There was also plenty of closet space and storage. Every room also comes with a balcony or a patio, and ours overlooked the lazy river. All this said, the room is definitely my biggest critique of the resort. First, the jacuzzi tub. I don't really like the layout, just having like everything super open. That's just kind of the taste. But the jacuzzi tub had some dirt on the base of it. We were there for 4 days. We never used the jacuzzi, and the jacuzzi was just like always permanently dirty. Not really that inviting to get into and actually take a bath. Kind of just felt like I was gonna be bathing in someone else's dirt. So did skip out on the jacuzzi. The other big critique was that there was this crazy wind noise coming through our door. Whenever there was even the slightest breeze, it would sound like a howl coming through the room. And there are times where me and my wife even had trouble sleeping and were waking up because of the howling noise. The only way to get rid of the howling noise was to open the door, but as soon as you open the door, that shut off the AC, and there's really nothing we can do about it. And that was just persistent throughout all 4 days. I don't know if that's common or normal for the other rooms, but it was definitely a case for our room. Where the resort really shines is the grounds and the overall property design. The landscaping here is beautiful, huge palm trees, statues, gardens, and little tucked away areas throughout the resort. One thing we noticed consistently during the trip was just how many staff members were working around the property. It honestly felt like the staff outnumbered the guests. Always felt like it was being worked on and being well maintained. And even after 4 days, we were still discovering small areas of the resort we hadn't seen before. One small design critique, though, is the layout of some of the walking paths. There are main paths throughout the resort, but sometimes you do end up having to walk through areas where people are sitting or sunbathing. There are many times that I just wanted to go get a towel, and I kind of had to cross through 10 different people sunbathing. So if you imagine like a a person sunbathing, and then like the pool, and then this very narrow area to get through to kind of get to the towel. And that was pretty much everywhere on the resort. Even the staff were using these areas as if they were just normal walkways. With that also said, they do have like wider walking paths, and we did actually notice a lot of older people there with canes and stuff like that. We even saw a pool that had a wheelchair accessible path. So if you do have mobility issues, I do think it's fine for you, but if you are trying to do the shortcuts and go around, you might find yourself bumping against some strangers.
1, 2, 3, go!
This resort had multiple pool areas, each with a different vibe. There was a quieter pool if you just want to kind of sit and relax. There's a livelier pool, which is the party pool, where there's music and the activities, swim up bar. But the highlight for sure, at least for me, was the lazy river. This thing is massive. It probably took us like 30 minutes to go around the whole lazy river once you're in it. It winds through the property and moves slowly, which makes it incredibly relaxing. The only downfall that we did notice was the floats. For whatever reason, there just wasn't a lot of floats, and people were kind of forced to hoarding the floats. So the first time we went to the lazy river, it was like 2 p.m. and all the floats were gone, and we saw multiple people looking for floats, and they just weren't there. So I don't know if the staff brings them out when there's more people there because they don't want to have all the floats just kind of sitting around. But for us, there was a little bit of a float hoarding situation. So even the next day, we noticed that everyone was hoarding the floats at 7 a.m., taking the floats and keeping them by their seats. It was kind of a shame because you expect these things just to kind of just be active and everywhere. With that said, you can go around the lazy river without a float, but obviously a lot more fun with a float. One little note is that we did see someone bring their own float to the lazy river. It might not have been their first time at this resort, so maybe they knew the drill. So that's always an option. I do think though that the staff actually talked to them and told them not to have that float. So I don't know, maybe you can't have your own floats there. But if you're gonna be the lazy river guy like I am, keep that in mind and try to get a float as soon as you get there. The beach area, very nice. Typical Cancun beach. There was definitely some seaweed while we were there, but that's just kind of normal. The staff was always cleaning it up. We're early risers, so we were out there at like 7 or 8 a.m. and there was seaweed. But by the time the afternoon was there, it was all gone. The one amazing thing about the beach, and honestly the whole resort, there's so many seating areas. The beach specifically, there were always seats available, so there was never a need to get out there, rush, and claim your seat. And the same thing with the pool. If you're looking for a chair in direct sunlight or under an umbrella or whatever, there's more to go around than you can imagine. There are also hammocks on the beach. One little cute swing that we have some photos of, which was nice. They also do some activities. They have volleyball, things like that there. And there's also this really cool pier to the side of the resort that everyone always walked down and got some good Instagram photos. Should be mentioned that just like any Cancun beach, it is basically public, so you will see vendors coming through the beach trying to sell you stuff. That can be a little bit annoying. If this is your first all-inclusive, you've never been to Cancun, you never did this, just beware. It is pretty annoying, especially if you have one of the chairs that are closer to the water. You will basically get hounded by vendors. There's one instance within like 30 minutes, like 10 different people came up to us asking us if we want to go jet skiing or buy this or buy that kind of thing. Just kind of part of the deal. So just be aware, if you just don't like that, go to the pools or stay back from the water. It does kind of stink though, because you kind of are there for the ocean, so you want to be close to the ocean. So just keep that in mind. This resort has a lot of restaurants. There's an Indian restaurant, a Mexican restaurant, a steakhouse grill, a lobster restaurant, a pasta restaurant, a pizza oven, a tapas restaurant, a sports bar, and there's other snacks and taco places as well. You will not go hungry at this resort, that's for sure. Overall, the food was good across the board, but nothing really blew me away. It's not a Michelin star dining experience, but everything we had was cooked well and seasoned well, and there's lots of variety. One thing that did surprise me was the portion sizes. Normally at all-inclusives, they are smaller portions, at least the ones that have been to. This one, every portion that you got was a full thing. So if you got a lobster tail, you got a lobster tail. If you got a steak, you got a big steak. The downside of that is me and my wife are big foodies, so we actually try to go to like 2 dinners every night. So that second dinner, we got through it, we pushed ourselves, but we were pretty full by that second dinner. But you know, we made it happen. Some of the main standouts is the breakfast buffet. We love buffets, and this one was something special, honestly, because not only did they have all the normal breakfast stuff, the omelet stations, the pancakes, the French toast, and all the breakfast stuff that you can think of, but they also just had like meats and like soups and a sushi station. So really, if you want breakfast or lunch, like that's your time to get it, because they have every single thing. I mean, at one time I would get an omelet, some fresh fruit, some sushi, and probably something else that doesn't belong on my breakfast plate usually. And it was just really nice to have that variety. So that really stood out to us. The other one that stood out to us was the one on the beach. This was a little snack bar, I think typically only open for lunch. We had the quesadilla and the fried burrito and just like some chips and guac. And chips and guac just hit differently at Cancun, so you know, always get the chips and guac. It was so good that we just went back there a second time. I don't know why, it was just nice to have something, you know, Mexican at the Mexican restaurant. I think just made it a little bit better. Of course, they have the Indian place there, they have a French place there, they have a Japanese place there with like hibachi and K-pop and all this kind of stuff, which is nice. A lot of different variety, try a lot of different things, but sometimes it's nice to say get some Mexican food in Mexico. Can't beat it. A lot of people come to all-inclusives to drink, and if you want to drink, you can definitely drink at this all-inclusive. There are bars everywhere, and there are no lines. I've never seen any lines at any of these bars. Even their main bar, which is their martini bar in the building, which does get busy during dinner and after dinner, I didn't see anybody waiting. They're always making drinks. Again, this place is so well staffed that you can get anything you want anytime. Of course, there's people kind of just walking around, asking you if you want anything. So if you don't want to leave your chair and even go to the bar, you can just lay there all day and someone will get you that drink, don't you worry. I should also mention there was a sports bar. We love sports bars, and we were gonna go into the sports bar, but we honestly just had so much fun at the other restaurants that we just never even fully went in there. We went in to check it out, and there was a TV that was the size of the whole wall. So if you're into football or basketball or soccer or whatever, it'd be a really cool place to grab a drink, grab a snack, and watch a game. We went in February, so it really wasn't anything going on. But if you're there for the World Cup or something like that, I bet you that place is gonna be a lot of fun. Overall, the vibe of this place is just relaxed. I do think it goes more towards the older side of things. Usually at all-inclusives, it's like newlyweds or new anniversaries, and you'll get some of the mix also, of course, of the retirees, people celebrating anniversaries and stuff like that. But I would say at least 50% of the people at this all-inclusive, if not more, honestly, we're like 50 and above. And that's kind of more going towards the 60 and 70 level. The strange thing about this all-inclusive, which I haven't seen at any other all-inclusives, is that there are just a lot of groups of like a group of 6 guys and a group of 6 girls. I don't know if there's a wedding or a conference or something. I've never seen groups like that, and I think that could be kind of fun. If you're looking for an escape with your girls or your friends or whatever, this actually might be the resort for you. If you're still looking for a chill, if you're looking to party and dance and whatever, probably not for you. This is definitely more towards the older group. All the activities were like musicians singing like 80s hits and 90s hits and stuff like that, not like club DJs. There was a saxophonist as one of the events. So fine for me. I wanted to chill, get away from my phone, get away from work. Perfect for me. If you're looking for something a little bit more wild, this may not be your vibe. So let's talk about what this trip actually cost. We booked this package through Expedia, which included flights, the hotel, and then the shuttle. The package itself was $2,873 plus $950 in taxes, which brought the total to $3,824 for 2 people. And this was in February, which I guess is peak season for Cancun, so just keep that in mind. In terms of overall market, Excellence is definitely considered an upper mid-tier all-inclusive, so you do kind of get what you pay for there. So let's give this thing a rating. I'm gonna rate it on rooms, resort grounds, food, service, and vibe. Rooms, unfortunately, that was definitely the downside of this whole experience. It's your first entrance to the all-inclusive. It's where you stay, it's where you sleep. You kind of want that to be a safe, nice area. The hollowing from the windows and the dirtiness of the jacuzzi, it's just a little dated. Overall, this is gonna be my weakest number. I would have to give it a 5 out of 10. The resort grounds, I think the resort grounds were beautiful. It's so funny to even mention this, but me and my wife just kept on talking about how well everything was planted. Like there's just rows of trees and colors, and there's not a weed to be seen. If there's a weed, you better believe someone's gonna pull that by the end of the day. So it was just a really nice looking resort. And the lazy river, honestly, you just can't beat. But again, some of the downsides, I would say, is just the resort layout. There are multiple times where people just had to walk in front of me, or I had to kind of like shimmy around someone. With all of that in mind, I give the resort grounds an 8 out of 10. I think the food was good. Lots of variety. Like I said, there's a French restaurant, there's an Italian restaurant, there's a Japanese restaurant. Anything that you want, you can have. It's just the problem is that nothing really like stood out. Nothing was memorable. Not everyone goes to all-inclusives for food, or maybe they're so drunk anyways that the food, tastes a little better. So the variety of food was great. Like I think that was amazing. But the food itself just wasn't anything that like blew me away. Something else I'll just mention too real quick is that the dining experience for each one of these probably took like an hour and a half to 2 hours, which is nice that they're cooking everything from scratch. But at the same time, it just took a long time. Like we would go to dinner at 6:30 and be out by 8:30 and then try to go to our second dinner. So I wish it was a little bit quicker. The last thing I actually mentioned about food, which I didn't mention earlier, is get the vanilla ice cream. It sounds so silly, but their ice cream is made with condensed milk and it just tastes so much better than any ice cream that I can get here in the States. I was downing ice cream plate after plate, so get the ice cream while you're there. So food, overall, I'm a harsh critic. I'm gonna say 7 out of 10, just because nothing blew me away, but the variety is there. It's good, it's good. You'll enjoy the food. The service was great. Everyone was amazing. There's people there all the time helping you or smiling at you, saying good morning to you. Never had to wait for anything. Everyone was like making friends with the staff and knew them by name. I'm not that kind of guy. I kind of just lay low, But if you want to do that, you can definitely do that at this resort. The one thing I will mention, the tipping culture, at least when we were there, was really prevalent. People drop in like $5, $10, all this kind of stuff at the meal. So take what you want with that. Some people like to go to all-inclusives and not have the tip at all. Some people like the tip. I do think because there's an older crowd that there is a little bit more discretionary income being put down and tipping and stuff like that. You don't need the tip. I would say 70% of people tipped. So with that, service, though, I think was incredible. I can't give anyone a 10 out of 10, honestly. Nothing really stood out too much, but I would give it a 9 out of 10. Overall vibe, the lazy river, not having to fight over chairs. I think the vibe was great, exactly what I needed. February in New York is a little cold, and I just wanted to escape, have a kind of detox, and that's exactly what I got. So vibe, I really can't ask for anything more. It's exactly what I thought I was going to get, which is a 9 out of 10. If you're looking for a relaxed adults-only all-inclusive where you can float around a lazy river, eat good food, and completely unplug, this is a really solid option. So let me know if you've ever been to another Excellence. We have been to one other so far. I'm excited to go to a couple others and maybe try a different brand as well. I'd be curious to see what your experience was. Did you have the same room experience that we had? Did you also just go around the lazy river like I did all day? Thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of this. I'll see you on the next one.